Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's session. My name is Danny, and I'm the event planner for the New York Reactor Space. Before we start, I have a few things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Useful links will be shared in the chat. The session is recorded and will be available on demand 24 to 48 hours on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. Which brings us to today's session. It'll run for approximately 1 hour with time for questions throughout. I will now turn it over to our speaker for introductions.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining our live stream today. So I'm super excited today to share with you folks on mirroring for enterprises, right, with GoldenGate and Microsoft Fabric. Today, my name is Wilson Lee. I'm a principal product manager at Microsoft Azure Data in the data integration team. I'm very happy to be joined with Srinidhi and Venkat. Srinidhi is from the Oracle GoldenGate team, and Venkat is from the Microsoft Solution and Ecosystem team. Let's dive in. So let's talk about Fabric, right? For folks who have been in Microsoft, who have heard about talks that maybe myself or leadership, or you have been into Fabric conference that's coming up, by the way, very soon, about Microsoft Fabric, you might have seen this before. But what Microsoft Fabric really is really a SaaS platform to help to unify all the different data and analytics workload together under one single SaaS platform, right? No matter if you want to do data factory workload or more analytics, or basically just generate a Power BI report or many other amazing things that you want to do with your data, Microsoft Fabric is the solution for you, right? And all these different amazing capability runs on top of OneLake. Now, OneLake is really the connective tissue for all these amazing capability, right? Once the data lands in OneLake and everything flows, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And of course, in Fabric, everything is infused with AI, and of course, we're integrated with Purview as well. But before we start, I want to dive a little bit deeper into Data Factory. Data Factory is the workload where we help you to move data, to do amazing orchestration. We also have transformation tools as well. But all this is built, of course, on top of OneLake, but also with the best-in-class connectivity to over 180 plus connectors, right? And of course, all of our tool set and everything that you see in Data Factory is actually built with deployment observability in mind, because we know that it's important for you to actually deploy all these tool set in production, and you want to be able to observe it and make sure that you monitor all this progress. And of course, it's all deployable from your test to your dev, from your dev to your test to your production environment as well. And of course, I mentioned as well that you see this theme coming up again and again. Everything is built on top of OneLake with AI infused as well. Now, today, I want to maybe spend a couple of minutes, talk a little bit about the 4 different tools that we have in Data Factory. Now, one thing to note is that in Data Factory, we have many more tools, but for folks who are maybe new or you're familiar with Data Factory, these are several ones that will help you to, move your data, or you can say that to actually help you to shape your data in a certain way, right? So we'll make sure that folks understand when you come into Data Factory in Fabric, which is the best tool for you to use, depend on your scenario. Now, of course, for folks who are familiar with us in Azure Data Factory, even before the Microsoft Fabric days, you are familiar with pipelines, right? So in pipelines in Microsoft Data Factory, What this is basically a tool to help you to actually orchestrate different activities together, right? You can think about, you can copy data, or you can actually bring up a notebook to actually help you to actually shape your data in a certain way, or many other activities, all chained and all orchestrated together to help you to make sure that your data is in the right place and also in the right shape as well. But if you just want to prepare, clean, and just transform your data, you can definitely use Data Flow Gen 2, which is our tool to actually help you to bring in data, but also make sure that it's in the right shape, maybe with different columns, or you want to join some of the different queries together. Data Flow Gen 2 is the tool for you to use. But of course, if you just want to copy data, you don't need more in terms of orchestration, but you still want to copy from any source to any destination and be able to do this with both batch mode and in incremental mode, Copy Job is the tool for you. But if your goal is to really just bringing your data into Fabric OneLake itself, Mirror Database is the tool for you. And let's dive in a little bit more about database mirroring. Now, as I mentioned before, OneLake is for all data, or it's extremely important, right? We always compare it to the OneDrive for data itself, right? Once your data is in OneLake in the right shape and format, right, every single workload on top of that will light up. Now, one thing to note about OneLake as well, as I earlier alluded to, is that there are several ways to bring data into OneLake, right? If you have files, for example, if your data is in S3 or in ADOS Gen 2, Shortcut is the best way for you to easily virtualize your data into OneLake itself. But if your goal is to actually bring your entire database into OneLake itself, mirroring is the right tool to use, right? So how mirroring works is that mirroring will help you to basically reflect your full database into OneLake. Of course, you still have the ability to select which table you want to choose and things like that. Once you set up mirroring, right, the data will flow from the source to the destination. It's actually in its name. What we guarantee is that what you see in the source will be what you see in the destination as well. So underneath the hood, what we do is that we are going through getting changes, of course, including the snapshot as well from your source database, and making sure that we're getting the changes and percolated into OneLake itself. And then what we do is that we have an engine, right? After we actually get your changes from your source database, we actually process your changes. We're making sure that we actually merging and making sure that all the changes are combined together, and making sure that when it lands into OneLake or when you see it or you can use it in OneLake, it's all in our open source Delta Vertiplicate format. And also, of course, and we'll make sure that everything is kept up to date. So then it's in the name where anything that you do, no matter if you insert a row, deleting a row, changing a column, changing the table's name, etc., all those changes that you do in your source database will be landed into Fabric OneLake itself, and you use it as you do analytics workload in your source database. And one thing that it's great about this is that one thing that we do guarantee is that, and something that we work very, very hard on, is that when we're bringing these changes in, right, when we mirror your data, we will do our best to minimize the impact to your operational database so that it doesn't impact your transactional workload as well. Now, one more thing, for folks who might heard of mirroring as well, mirroring is free. So when I say mirroring is free, it's free in two separate places. One is that the storage is free. In Fabric, you do need to provision a capacity. So it's from F2 to F2048, many different SKUs for you to choose from. And for mirroring, right, the storage is free in tiers, right? So if you provision an F64, you will get 64 terabyte for free. So for each of the SKU, you will get its equivalent number of terabyte for free in OneLake itself. For example, as well, if you provision F32, you get 32 terabyte for free as well. Secondly, as I mentioned early on, mirroring has an engine that runs underneath the hood that helps you actually bring all the changes in and making sure that it's all proper and all merged and all these things, and making sure that it's converted to the right Delta Verde parquet format inside OneLake itself. That engine, that compute itself, is also free as well. And for that compute, no matter you are provisioned an F2 or F64 or even above and beyond, all those is free. All that compute is free, and also it doesn't charge against your capacity, and it runs the same no matter which SKU that you are provisioning. Now, with that being said, I would love to show you a demo so that folks that understand what database mirroring is about, and we'll continue to talk more about this.
Let's go ahead and create a SQL database mirror. We'll give it a name. We'll hit create, and then it'll ask us for connection information. We'll give it our database, and then we'll hit mirror database. After a short time, it'll go into the running state, at which point we can monitor the replication. This may take a little bit of time, but you can refresh and then see the status of the replicated rows for your given database. Now, let's go over to the SQL Analytics endpoint. And from here, we can actually go look at the data within inside of our mirror. Let's go to the employees table, and we can see the rows that are present in that table. We've got 9 rows. Over in Azure Data Studio, if we look at the database there, we also see 9 rows against the actual SQL database. Let's insert a new row to see if it gets replicated. But even more than that, let's add a new column and then update the data in that new column. This is not something you could previously do with Synapse Link, but you can with a Microsoft Fabric mirror. We updated that data and can see the column and new row in Azure SQL Database. Going back to Microsoft Fabric, after a short period of time, we can go ahead and query that table. And then we can go ahead and see that the column and the row are present in the mirror itself. Back in our workspace, we can see that we've got 3 mirrors set up: Cosmos DB, Snowflake, and our SQL Database mirror. Going back to our SQL Database mirror, inside of the Explorer, we can actually include all of the relevant mirrors that we want. Now, let's go ahead and query our Cosmos DB mirror from our SQL mirror. So we can do a 3-part name to do this, and we can actually see data in the products table in Cosmos DB. Now let's do a cross-database join, where we actually join that products data with our SQL database data, and we can see that information. Let's go and make this a view on that given products table, so now we can leverage it within inside of our semantic model. And if we go to that semantic model, we can see the relevant tables from the SQL database mirror, as well as our sales product table from our Cosmos DB mirror. All of these are joined together in a complete solution that we can now report on. Going back to our workspace, we can actually see that we have a report ready to go. So let's go and pull up that report. And now we have visualized the data that's combining from our SQL database as well as our Cosmos DB mirror in a complete solution within inside of Microsoft Fabric.
Awesome. So hopefully this gives you a good understanding about what database mirroring is all about. And as of today, if you go to Fabric itself, you will be able to actually use these tools from Azure SQL Database, Cosmos DB, Snowflake, and SQL MI as well to basically replicate all your data into Fabric OneLake itself. Now, we, as a product group, we continue to innovate, right? We really listen to all of your ideas, and really just want to say a big thank you to all of our customers and you all who are attending this session, who are giving us ideas, and we learn from you and what you needed, and we continue to make progress and improvement on mirroring as a whole. So one thing that I would like to share with folks on the call is that our support with mirroring behind sources behind firewall, right? No matter if it is on-premise or you're actually on the cloud where your database is actually behind a firewall, we will support this capability very soon. This capability is currently in private preview right now. So it will allow you to use a virtual network data gateway or on-premise data gateway to connect to your source, either on-prem or behind a firewall. And you can basically continue to run database mirroring, just like what you saw in the demo itself. So this is an amazing capability. Many of you have asked for this for a long time, and we're very, very proud and very excited to bring you this capability very, very soon. And one more, and of course, as you've seen the title as well, Oracle, right? So mirroring for Oracle database, again, as one of the sources that every single discussion that I've had with you all has been asking us about when can we support this. And right now, mirroring for Oracle database in Fabric is currently open up for private preview. We'll onboard customer very, very soon. And for those who you want to join us and being able to test out the latest and greatest code for database mirroring to connect into Oracle database, you can sign up for the private preview, and we'd love for you to try it out. And please give us feedback so then we can make sure that it fits your needs and able to do what you needed to do in your production workload as well. And moving on, and you'll see, right, as I mentioned before, we already have many database mirroring capability already in Fabric as of today, and several more that are coming soon as well, aside from Oracle, right? So we'll have a mirroring for SQL Server on-prem as well, that is coming very, very soon. We support versions from 2016 to 2022, so that's something that's very excited, and we already onboarding private preview customer for this as well. Mirroring for SQL Server 2025, and for those who have attended Microsoft Ignite, SQL Server 2025 was announced for private preview as the database itself, right? The SQL Server itself, right? We'll be supporting mirroring for SQL Server 2025 very, very soon as well. Once that we have that private preview open up, so please join us, please give a feedback as well. And one more for folks who are fans, and I'm hearing a lot about this as well, Azure PostgreSQL flexible server or flexible database. In this case, this is also coming very, very soon to database mirroring as well, as a preview feature for you all to give that a try. Now, with all those being said, right, there are also, we continue to innovate, and we've also delivered many capabilities that you've asked for as well. For REST APIs, right, for folks who you might not be the ones, or maybe you have a lot of mirror database that you need to set up. It doesn't make sense for you to go in one by one and click on it and select it. You now can actually use our REST API to create, to list, to update and delete, and do all the CRUD APIs operations that you need to do via a REST API, and this is available as of today. Of course, I already talked about the mirror sources behind a firewall, which is in private preview as of today. And many more capabilities for you as well, right? For folks who would like to deploy database mirroring or all type of mirroring via deployment pipelines, or you want to integrate with Git, those are available for you as well. And one more that we're extremely excited to bring it to preview, and we've heard amazing feedback once that it's actually publicly available. It's our monitoring improvement. Right. So as of today, or mirror database or any mirroring product, it's actually integrated with our workspace monitoring, right? With that, you can actually provision a KQL database, and you see all the events that actually has been processed through mirroring itself. So you can actually, if you want to monitor many mirror database at once, or maybe you want to create some events or notification in this case, based on events that mirroring does, you can do this as of today as well. So we're really excited and proud to have released this capability to you all. Now, with this being said, one more capability that I want to talk about today. So when we're talking to our customer after we launch database mirroring, you all have told us a couple of things. One is that maybe your data set is actually reside in somewhere that in Microsoft we might not be able to support ever. Some customer told us that your data may be in some sort of APIs or some very, very old mainframe or database that this is something that database mirroring might not be able to support for the foreseeable future. Some other folks have been telling us that, hey, I do have a data engineering team where I build pipelines, I build process, I build applications where I can change data and do manipulate it, clean it, do something with the data set or many data sets together. But I just need you as in database mirroring or mirroring team, I need you to be able to help me just land the data, and you manage the complexity of all the changes, updates, and insert and delete, and make sure that my data lands in Fabric in the right shape and format. That's all I need you to do. But I have, as a customer, I have my data set. I have my engineering team to actually do things like that. So I've heard feedback like that as well, many feedback. And others, of course, have been telling us that, hey, I already have something running in production, a pipeline to run in production. I just need a destination for me to land the data, and I just want to continue to use my pipeline in production. I just need a place for me to land the data in Fabric itself. And because of that, at Ignite last year, I've announced open mirroring in Fabric. So the way to think about open mirroring is that you still, in Fabric itself, you still have a mirror database item, right? What will happen is that we, in Microsoft, we won't be helping you to connect to the source. You as a customer, you decide how do you want to land the data into mirror database itself. The process is very similar to what you've seen before. We have a landing zone for you to land your data in the right format, into the right requirement, right? Once your data lands in the landing zone, no matter if you write your own application or you use some existing production pipelines from our partners, all that data will have the same engine that we run in database mirroring to process the changes, combine all those changes, and make sure that it lands in OneLake in the right shape and format into Delta 30 Parquet, so that we manage all the complexity on the Fabric side for you, and all you need to do is to land the data into the landing zone, right? And of course, at Ignite, we've also have several open mirroring partners that have been working with us to actually land the data. You can use from all these amazing partners that we have that can land data, and we have many more that are coming as well. And if you want to learn more, please visit our blog for Fabric open mirroring, and you can learn more about how can you leverage these existing partners to land your data into mirror database itself. Now, of course, without further ado, I'm going to introduce and bring back Srini to talk to us about how does Oracle GoldenGate landing data into mirroring as well. So Srini, please take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Vincent. Yeah. So I'm one of the product managers within the OCI GoldenGate product group. So let's talk about GoldenGate support for Fabric. So to start with, Oracle GoldenGate is an enterprise-grade data integration solution. It can replicate database transaction in near real time within and across data centers. It can be on-prem, it can be within multi-cloud, or it can be a hybrid architecture. So it allows data to be replicated for use cases such as high availability, or let's say you want to prepare and propagate data for analytics and data science. Or you can even use GoldenGate to ingest and analyze data while the data is in motion, or let's say the data is being streamed. So GoldenGate offers a unique approach to connect heterogeneous data sources and targets to align operational continuity and analytics and insights into a single data fabric. So on the screen, all the sources that you see on the left is where the GoldenGate captures data from. It can be any Oracle application on Oracle database, which could be running on-prem within Azure, OCI, or any of the other cloud vendors. Or it can be any other third-party databases such as SQL Server, PostgreSQL, or let's say IBM DB2. So those databases can even reside on-prem or any of the cloud vendors. Not just databases, we also support capture of data from third-party NoSQL platforms such as Kafka, Cassandra. So once the data is captured into a GoldenGate trail file, so the GoldenGate replicates the data from these trail file to heterogeneous targets. So on the right side, you see all the list of the targets that GoldenGate supports, where GoldenGate can replicate data in near real time to all of these targets. So you can have a capture once and replicate as many targets for the same data. So we support all the relational databases that you see on the list, and we support all the OCI data platforms. And within the Microsoft platform, we support Fabric, SQL Server, MySQL. It could be managed or self-managed platforms. And we also support streaming of data into a messaging platform such as Kafka or let's say Azure Event Hub. So we also do support data platforms within GCP and AWS. And to end with, customers can also replicate the data into a data warehouse, which can span across any of these cloud vendors, or it could be on-prem. So with the support for data replication into Fabric, it was added within GoldenGate, where you can capture data from any of these supported sources in near real time. And it could be not just business data from traditional relational databases. It could be vector data, which is being changed on the source platform, or it could be a NoSQL data or a streaming data. Once the data is captured, you can unify the data from all these sources and replicate into a Microsoft Fabric mirrored database or lakehouse and perform end-to-end analytics that can help you drive insights from all of these sources of data. So we also have added support for Oracle database at Azure, which means along with all these supported sources, GoldenGate can capture data from an Exadata or autonomous database running in Oracle database at Azure offering and directly replicate this data into any of the supported Azure targets or let's say Fabric in this use case. So we have added support for 2 integration targets within Microsoft Fabric platforms. So both these targets are built on the OneLake platform, which is a unified location to store all your organizational data where the workloads can operate. So once you have GoldenGate up and running, you have the option to choose the target. It could be the lakehouse within Microsoft Fabric, or it could be a mirrored database. So once the replicat is configured to replicate data into lakehouse, the GoldenGate replicat process loads a Parquet and ORC file into a lakehouse staging location within Microsoft Fabric. And if you choose to go with mirror database as a target, it uses it replicates the ingested data into a landing zone within the Microsoft Fabric, and then open mirroring reads the data or loads the data from these stage files into the target tables within the mirrored database. So this is the UI of GoldenGate. So within the target drop-down list, you can see both these targets listed. Depending upon the use case, you can select any one of these targets. So this is an end-to-end architecture where it shows how you can use Oracle database at Azure or any database which is supported by GoldenGate, along with OCI GoldenGate and other Microsoft Azure services to load your data into Microsoft Fabric for end-to-end analytics. So these platforms are connected by OCI managed network and a VCN that spans across region and includes a local peering gateway. So Oracle database at Azure resides within the VCN in Azure, and it loads the data or sends the data through a local peering gateway. And the OCI GoldenGate is accessible through a private endpoint so that it makes sure that your GoldenGate access is secured along with all the other OCI resources. So in addition, Oracle Interconnect for Azure and a site-to-site VPN provides a path for your data going from an OCI region to an Azure region. So data flows from a dynamic routing gateway on the OCI Hub VCN through the site-to-site VPN or Oracle Interconnect for Azure. So the data from both of these sources flows through a virtual network gateway on the Azure VNet, and that may or may not include the private link and private endpoint. So from there, the data can be directed or loaded into the Fabric platform. So let's quickly dive into a demo. So this is the source autonomous database from which the GoldenGate will be capturing data from. So I already have a connection created. So the capture process will connect to this database, and we have an extract process that is running, and it will be capturing data from the autonomous database. And once the data is captured, the data is written to a trail file. So and the data trail file is sent to what we call as GoldenGate for distributed and application analytics, which will replicate the data to the mirrored database within Fabric. So let's go to the extract process. So we will be capturing data from a table within source OCI GGLL schema, and we'll be performing some of the DML operations. So as you can see within the parameter file, we can define the tables as well as a list of schemas from which the GoldenGate will be capturing data from. So let's perform some DMLs. So as the DMLs are committed in near real time, the extract process will be capturing data and writing to the trail file. So within the statistics, you can see there are some inserts that were captured by the GoldenGate extract, and this data is written to a trail file, and the distribution service will ship this trail file from Oracle GoldenGate for Oracle deployment to a GoldenGate for DA deployment, where the replicate process will be reading the data from the same trail file and sending the data to the mirrored database. So within the properties, we can define the Fabric workspace name and the target mirrored database name. So once the replicate process reads this trail file, it processes the data that was being sent by the or captured by the extract process, and we can also validate the data similarly on the mirroring or the Fabric platform, where we can just refresh the replication status, and you can see the number of rows that were replicated and the current timestamp. So once the data or the stats are picked up, you can even run a query which shows the updated data on the target delta table within mirrored database. So through this, you can replicate near real-time data from any of the supported sources to the target mirror database platform within Fabric, or it could be a lakehouse within Fabric. If you want to validate the data, you can also use a storage explorer where you can go to the landing zone of the mirror database. So the path to the landing zone will be shown up within the mirror database details, and you can see the Parquet files that were loaded by GoldenGate. And once the file staged onto the landing zone, we have the open mirroring feature within the mirror database, which will read those data files and load the data into the target table. So I think that's with the demo. Back to Venkat.
Hey, thanks, Srinidhi. Yeah, so we can directly go to the next slide. So to start off with this slide, right, what I want to talk about is where from a Microsoft and Oracle perspective, right, we have always wanted to meet customers where they are, right? So what Srinidhi was showing you is how do we leverage GoldenGate as a managed service in the OCI environment and be able to connect to any data source that GoldenGate supports and bring or unify all the data into Fabric. So that's what Srinidhi was talking about. And before that, Wilson spoke about how we are coming up with a private preview wherein we can have a connector and you would be able to use the mirroring capability of Fabric to go and pull data from Oracle databases. Now, what we are going to show you in this architecture right here is a scenario where there are a lot of customers who don't want the data to leave Azure, right? So they want either the data to be on their on-premise or the data to be on Azure, because those are the certified clouds, the certified on-premise locations for them. So for such customers, we have an option where you can run Oracle GoldenGate on VMs on Azure Kubernetes, right? And you would still be able to connect to any data source that GoldenGate supports, and you'd be able to unify all of the data, the changes happening on the data, into Fabric Mirror database, or to at the end of the day, everything sits in one lake to either Fabric Mirror database or even a lakehouse, right? So that's what we are trying to show here. But specifically this architecture, what we are trying to explain is how you can do this with Oracle database at Azure. A brief about what is Oracle database at Azure, right? Oracle database at Azure is a joint offering from Microsoft and Oracle, wherein we are having Oracle's purpose-built hardware, Exadata hardware, situated in an Azure data center. And customers can provision either an Oracle Exadata database service or an Oracle Autonomous Database service through the Azure Marketplace portal, and then you would have the Exadata database service and the Oracle databases running as part of the Exadata database service or the Autonomous Database service. So that's what we are starting with here. But again, I want to reiterate that even though we are showing one of the more complex scenarios here of running Oracle Exadata within Azure, you could pretty much take this architecture and use it for any enterprise database or data source that is supported by GoldenGate. So as you would see at the top, we are showing you how Oracle database at Azure is within a given Azure region, and you can access that through a delegated subnet. So you can have GoldenGate, the extract and the replicate process, which Srinidhi was showing you through a managed service in OCI. You could run that on a VM or on Azure Kubernetes, right? Both extract and replicate, you can run it, and then you would be able to connect to your data source. In this case, it's an Oracle database at Azure data source, and you'd be able to capture all the change data and replicate over to the mirror database. And then you would be able to query using a SQL analytics endpoint. And at the end of the day, as Wilson pointed out, all your data is in one lake. In this scenario, when we use GoldenGate, because we want to support mirror database, we will be having the data in the Delta Parquet format. That's about this particular architecture. With that introduction, we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so I'll be taking you through a demo of how this entire process works end to end, right? With respect to how we'll start with showing you how we can, a brief overview of how does this Oracle database at Azure setup look like in the Azure portal, and connect to an Oracle data source, right? Once we have an Exadata setup, how do you connect to it? Then setting up of a mirror database. Then we'll talk about how do you connect securely between the data source, that is Oracle, and GoldenGate and Fabric. So how do you do that using a service principle, right? And then we'll take you to the process of setting up an extract. So while Trinity was showing you, the extract process, it was set up. Here we'll show you how do you go about the steps in setting up an extract process, and then how do you connect to the target, and then we'll eventually show you the data being replicated into the mirror database. And finally, we want to leave you with what is the value that you can derive once this data is replicated into the mirror database. Okay, that's kind of what we want to take you through in the demo. The demo is short, it's short and sweet, but it can be fast if you're watching it for the first time. Hence we wanted to take you through the process once, and then take you to the actual demo itself. Yeah. Let's play the demo. Srinidhi, I think the volume is not coming up.
Land their data into Fabric.
Yeah.
With open mirroring, setting up a mirroring system is simple and accessible. Customers using partner data integration tools like Oracle GoldenGate can seamlessly land their data into Fabric. Let's see how to replicate Oracle data into Fabric using open mirroring. We start with an existing Oracle Exadata database in Azure's Australia East region. First, we capture the scanned DNS from the VM cluster and connect to the Oracle database via SQL Developer. Once connectivity is verified, we access the customer's table in the sales history schema and run a quick select query to view the data. Next, we will establish access between GoldenGate and Microsoft Fabric using a Microsoft Enter service principal. We retrieve the client ID, tenant ID, display name, and secret from the registered app. Then, in Microsoft Fabric, we assign the service principal as a contributor on the workspace where we'll create the mirror database. This step gives GoldenGate the access to write to the workspace and the resources within the workspace. We will create a new open mirror database. This is just an empty shell now, but we can see that the mirror database is running, and this acts as a structured destination for incoming replicated data. The database is now running and ready to receive changes. In Oracle GoldenGate, we connect using the same DNS, map it to an alias, and configure an extract process to capture changes from all tables in the sales history schema. We define parameters, select the domain, and specify file name patterns. Once the extract process is running, we can monitor change data capture statistics, including inserts, updates, and deletes. To replicate this data to the Fabric mirror database, we set up a replicate process in GoldenGate. Here, we define source trail files, specify file name patterns, and set Fabric as a target. We provide the Fabric workspace, mirror database, and service principal credentials before starting the replication process. Now, switching to Fabric, we check the replication status screen where we see data synchronization in near real time. Each mirror database has a SQL endpoint, allowing us to query and validate the data. So to test this, we update the effective date to all customers to January 2nd, 2019. And that commits about changes to 55,507 rows. Running a T-SQL query in Fabric, we verify that all updates have successfully been synchronized. The replication status view also provides detailed insights into the data flow. With Oracle data now in sync, we leverage Power BI to visualize insights. Using Copilot, we quickly generate an executive dashboard and request deeper insights. For example, we ask how much revenue Contosa made in Yokohama, and Copilot instantly derives valuable insights from the near real-time replicated data. We want to meet our customers where they are, and open mirroring with Oracle GoldenGate provides a seamless way to land Oracle data into Fabric, providing a unified and extensible platform for all of our customers' needs. Thank you for watching this demo.
Cool. So again, I want to leave everybody with this slide and this information of, we as in the partnership with Oracle, right? We want to meet customers where they are, and the next step, right? You saw, Srinidhi showing you how to run GoldenGate as a managed service in OCI, and I showed you about how the architecture of how you can have this running on VMs and Kubernetes, Azure Kubernetes services within Azure. Now, the next step is how can we do GoldenGate in Oracle database at Azure, right? So this is something which is in the roadmap. We eventually want to be able to run GoldenGate as a service, similar to how it is running in OCI. We want to run it from Azure. And in that way, you would have direct integration from the Azure Cloud Console, and you would have pre-built networking for easy connections to, be it Oracle databases or any of the data sources that GoldenGate supports across the enterprise. And you would be able to capture all this change data and directly integrate and replicate the data into Fabric or Azure Event Hub or any of the Azure native databases as well. So there's something to watch out for. It's in the roadmap, and we'll keep you posted on this. If you go to the we have a lot of blogs and reference material around this. This we'll add this to the links in the video or comments in the video for you guys to later for easily for you all of you to easily access it and refer to it, and you can get back to us with any questions. Wilson, do you want to take over now?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Venkat and Srini, to actually talk about all the amazing capability integration into open mirroring and mirror database as well, right? But one thing that I would like to end with, right? So you can see that no matter if using database mirroring or open mirroring, all roads leads to OneLake. As I mentioned at the very beginning, OneLake is really the connective tissue for everything in Fabric. So no matter using database mirroring, which we help you to connect to your source, or you use open mirroring, just like what Srini and Venkat has been showing you, using Oracle GoldenGate to bring data into open mirroring itself, all roads leads to Fabric OneLake as well. So to wrap up, right, several things, right? If you haven't tried Microsoft Fabric yet, if you have, thank you. But if you haven't, please go sign up for the Fabric trial. At the moment, for each sign up that successfully you're able to sign up, you'll get a F64 SKU for free and for 2 months, right? For 60 days, right? That's a $17,000 value. So it's amazing. Once that you're actually able to actually get this trial and you're in Fabric, all these tools that are, all these database mirroring tools are all available for you. So go ahead and please go try mirroring as of now. All these sources, all these database mirroring feature are available for you to use if you're in Fabric as of today. And of course, do go and try the Fabric or open mirroring solution as well, especially as in this session, you learn about how this is done via Oracle GoldenGate and many of our other partners as well. So please go ahead, learn more about open mirroring, go give it a try, especially with Oracle GoldenGate. It is actually working as of today, as you saw the demo. That is also publicly available for you to go ahead and actually bring your data via Oracle GoldenGate, via many different sources that they support into open mirroring itself. And of course, last but not least, you've seen many of the coming soon features that we have. So if you're interested to participate in our private preview, please do sign up, and we'd love to have you going through a process and being able to have you as one of our customers to get early access to many of these tools, including mirroring for Oracle databases, and for you to test it out and give us feedback so you can help us to shape how would this look like? How do we actually make it better to suit your needs so that you can actually take and use Fabric and also mirroring in your production workload as well. So we'd love to have you there as well. Now, with this being said, I saw several questions. I'll open up the floor for Q&A. I've seen several questions that has been posted as well. So if you have more questions, please continue to ask in the chat. So we'll take the next couple of minutes to actually answer them between the three of us. And I see a couple of comments that have already been posted. So thank you for those. So the very first comment I've seen that Yash mentioned about BigQuery, right? BigQuery mirroring. So for thank you for that. So for database mirroring for a BigQuery, that is actually something that is in our backlog. We're looking into that as well. When we understand that this is one of the top sources, aside from SQL, from Oracle, that folks have been asking for us to support in database mirroring. So we are looking into this in our backlog. So we hope to actually have this to be ready, to be soon ready for you all to try it out as early adopters in private preview very soon. So please stay tuned for new announcement that we'll have upcoming, and then we are looking into BigQuery at the moment. Yeah, perfect. Second question. Perfect. These slides, so we'll figure out how we can share these slides, but this video is actually publicly available for you. One thing that we will do though, especially for the links that we shared, especially for the resource, how to use open mirroring, what is open mirroring, Oracle GoldenGate integration into open mirroring, all the amazing resource that Venkat has put in the slide with many different links for you to learn more and use this. We'll include all those in this video as well in the comment section to make sure that you have access to those as well. Can we do RAG in Fabric? I wonder if the folks, if you can actually give me a little bit more detail. What do you mean by that? Love to actually see if we can answer that. Yeah, so if Troy or for Kalyan, if you have more, if you can actually add more to your question, have a follow-up, what you're looking for, love to answer that as well. GitHub repo. So GitHub repo for this series. At the moment, for the Oracle GoldenGate integration, at the moment we don't have a GitHub repo to have this code, because if you go to GoldenGate at the moment, right, and Srini do chime in that, all those capabilities already available for you to land on open mirroring as well. Now, in our documentation, we'll include it in the comments as well. We will have, like, for example, the format that you need to land on for open mirroring as well. But I don't know if there's any sample code or anything like that. Maybe Srini, you can chime in as well on that.
Once you start to configure the replicate process, it's all auto-configured. You just have to put in the values for each of the properties that we configure within GoldenGate. It's plain and simple. You start to configure the replicate. All the properties are already there. You just have to put in the values, such as the workspace name, the mirror database name, like that. And the rest is taken care by the managed service of OCI.
I just want to add that if you saw all the different options or demos that Wilson was showing, or Srinidhi was showing, or even I was showing, right? All these options are giving you the capability to capture change data and replicate data in near real time with almost no code. You just have to configure. You don't have to code for capturing the data, figuring out what has changed, and then replicating it inside your tables, right? All of that is taken care of. That's where we are having the power of the open mirror engine. That's where we are having the power of GoldenGate coming into the picture. So the whole idea is to make things easier for you, so that you can focus on the end result of what to do with this change data. After unification of data, what can you do more, rather than focusing on how do I capture the change data, how do I keep the data in sync, how do I monitor if all my data has gone in, right? All of that has been taken care of with the help of open mirroring or GoldenGate, right? All of this come together and give you those capabilities.
Awesome. Next question, and maybe the next two questions. I think Kalyan was talking more about the RAG feature. So a couple things, and maybe Venkat, you can chime into that as well. So as of today, if you use AI Foundry as of today, you can actually connect through Mirror database as a shortcut itself, right? You'll be able to actually bring that data into AI Foundry, and you'll be able to actually build AI agent skills to do that. So Venkat, do you want to chime in?
Yeah. So yes, so the Fabric team is coming up with a preview of skills. AI skills within Microsoft Fabric, and you can use this AI skills capability within Microsoft Fabric to expose the data inside the Mirror database to AI Foundry, where you can build agents across the enterprise. Right now, as Srinidhi was alluding to, right, GoldenGate, you can use GoldenGate even to bring non-structured data. Right, you can bring non-structured data into OneLake. Now, once you have non-structured data in OneLake, you could use AI Foundry and go and look at your non-structured data, which is being replicated or brought over by GoldenGate, and you could build agents on top of it. Now, if you have structured data in mirror database, then you could use AI skills, the preview of which is going to come by this month end, I believe, March end, and it's going to be announced at FabCon, is what I understand. And from there, you can use AI Foundry to integrate with the AI skills, right, to build your agents. So that's what's coming up.
That's right. And one more thing to add with what Venkat's saying is that no, you do not need to actually create your custom application per se. But one thing that we are doing as well, beyond FabConf as well, is that that connection from the AI Foundry into Mirror database, we are actually making it more robust and make it easier for you to use. At the moment, and Venkat, do correct me if I'm wrong, is that you are using the Mirror database as you're basically directly connecting to the OneLake, right? Or you have to go in through the lakehouse. There's several steps that you have to do. It is possible, it is working, but it's a little bit more, several more steps that you need to do. You have to shortcut it to the lakehouse before you can actually use AI Foundry to talk to the lakehouse to get your data, and et cetera, et cetera. This is something that currently we want to simplify that experience to make sure that you can connect from AI Foundry directly to a Mirror database, and that's something that is currently working in our backlog as well. Just to let folks know that we hope to make that experience much simpler for you all to use. Right?
Yes, Wilson, that's absolutely right. I agree that there are ways that exist today, but it's a journey, right? We want to make things simpler for customers and end users to kind of consume this data, right? So
that's right. Sounds good. Maybe the next question I see Kalyan asking for cost consideration. That's another one. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. Maybe Srini, you can talk, and Venkat can talk a little bit more about the GoldenGate side. So in Fabric, the way that a cost works, right, for folks who may know or you use Fabric or if you don't know, is that in order for you to use Fabric, you need to provision a SKU, right? Each SKU has different pricing in there, right? From F2 to big SKU like F2048 or even beyond that as well. Each of them has its own pricing. But the way it works is that in Fabric, every single time you use a workload in Fabric, no matter you're running a data pipeline, running a notebook, or using Power BI, that will count against your Fabric capacity. So then that's how it works. Now you can always think about the Fabric capacity that you are provisioning. It's like a pipe, right? So at that particular moment, you use many tools. Those things will consume your capacity, and your pipe can only be able to use certain amount of tools together at the same time, and that's how it would work. So for anybody who are interested more about Fabric capacity and how does that work, we'll also include a link in our video when we post this for the public to see. So this is how it works. Now, one thing that I would like to mention about this is about database mirroring and open mirroring as well, right? Early on, we mentioned the fact that database mirroring and open mirroring is free. Free in two senses, right? One is that when you provision a Fabric capacity to a certain SKU, right, where you'll get the same equivalent amount of free storage in OneLake as well. If you provision an F64, you get 64 terabyte for free. The compute itself, that where we manage all the complexity and all that, that is also free as well for you. So no matter which Fabric SKU that you provision, the compute itself is free. And of course, all the charges on top of OneLake where you consume the data from other workload, that is that we charge just like a normal usage for Fabric as well. Srini or Venkat, do you want to add a little bit more about the GoldenGate cost as well?
Yeah, so for GoldenGate, there are two types of SKUs that you can go with. One is the on-prem licensing. The other one is the OCI GoldenGate managed service. So with the deployment size, you can define a GoldenGate deployment size, which starts off with one OCPU, and each one OCPU costs you $0.34 for the OCPU that you define for the deployment. So you can pretty much start small and you can scale up your deployment.
Awesome.
Cool. There's one more question from Luis. Do you want to pop that up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Shriti. Go ahead.
Yeah, so all the services that is including GoldenGate right now at present, the OCI GoldenGate managed service is within OCI, but as Venkat already said, it's planned to be launched within Oracle database at Azure offering. And right now, if you want to use GoldenGate, you do have an option to use the customer managed option where you can provision a VM and install GoldenGate on top of it. Or the other option is to use the OCI GoldenGate managed service within OCI and have your network set up, which can connect your OCI region to your Azure region.
Yeah. So basically, whatever way you want to run GoldenGate, there are options available. If you want to run it on Azure, absolutely you can run it on Azure on VMs, right? So that's possible. You can also use it from OCI if you want to use it from OCI. That is also possible. There is one more question. I'm going a little fast because we are almost at the end of time.
Yeah, so I'll answer this quickly. This is something that is top of mind for my team to help our customer in Dataflow Gen 1. If you're interested, we will have another session on the Microsoft Reactor for Data Factory series to talk about the upgrade pathway. Or if you by chance in FabConf, we have a dedicated session to talk about this as well. So please stay tuned. I won't be able to cover that in 1 minute, unfortunately. But yeah, we do have ways to help your customer or yourself if you're using Dataflow Gen 1 to get to Fabric, and also using Dataflow Gen 2 as well. Cool. So I think we're at time. I just want to thank everybody on the audience to listen in, and also thank you, Venkat and Srini, to actually present an amazing session. Thank you so much, and really awesome to meeting with you all and answer all these questions and getting your feedback. So thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.